Okay.
I think I just like to be a little bit more authentically in me than using maybe narcissism or a defense of fake confidence. If that makes sense.
Not yet, but I think we'll get there. So give me a little bit of context here, because I'm a bit lost. So what's the context?
I think it's more around my control element of when I'm with another. There's an element of maybe I can manipulate the perception of another person.
Okay, so when you're with someone, you change yourself to manipulate them, but in a way that doesn't feel good or isn't authentic for you.
It's not even that I'm doing it consciously.
Sure.
It's just a thing that it's a habit that I've had over a long period of time.
Great. So
I'd like to just be more human.
Okay, so probably from a safety point of view as well, right, or some sort of history. So I don't want to judge you for it, and we all manipulate people. Actually, it's like some of us know it, some of us don't. So you've got some sort of habit that isn't. You say human, it's unhuman. That's quite harsh. It's quite strong. Yeah. And what would you like?
I think I'd just like to be able to have a normal conversation that isn't me turning into a therapist or someone analysing stuff 24/7.
Okay, so the context is you're with a friend or?
Yeah, my sister.
Okay, so I'll be your sister. Anything I need to do to be your sister?
She generally doesn't care a lot about stuff. She has a lot of sense of humour.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm the shit at that. That's no problem. And she's not caring, so is it sort of looking aside or like what's her posture like? Guide me through this.
She's actually quite fearful in her posture.
Oh, like a bit anxious?
Yeah, very high up energy.
Like up here?
ADHD energy.
Like high and quick?
Yeah.
Of like high and quick? All right.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm not going to impersonate her, but I just want to give a little bit of the energy of that because that will help you go into the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the pattern you're currently doing? Let's see it in all its magnificent blossoming. If I'm here and I'm anxious and I'm making jokes.
Yeah, you're right. Can you grab something from the kitchen for me?
And what's the thing you do in your body just before you go into that pattern of manipulation?
Feel fear.
You feel fear. Where do you fear it?
In my stomach.
Okay, great. So we're just identifying that as a little red light. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So you feel the fear, you actually do the fear technically, right? Like you contract your stomach, it's unconscious, but there's a contraction there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then quite quickly you go into some other kind of behavior of manipulation. Am I getting this right? I'm just trying to...
Yeah, so if she get angry, I'll stay very calm and then she'll get even more angry.
And you smile when you say that.
Well, I think it's like I'm trying to be regulated and like I'm trying to, and because she can spin me off center.
So I don't want to get into the stories, but
Yeah.
the key thing is that you have a behavior you don't want to do. Is that right?
Yeah.
Which is some different manipulations of various kinds.
Yeah, I think I try too hard rather than just being where she is.
Ah, okay. And the first sign that that's happening is the stomach tightening. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Just so I'm here, I'm in this kind of anxious, slightly up energy.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel that urge come in? What would I give you something to say? What would I say that might be precursor to it?
I've quit my job. Can I come live with you?
I've quit my job. Can I come live with you? Okay, what do you notice in your body?
No.
Okay, so you're noticing the boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you like to practice for this relationship? Because this is what we have in embody coaching. I'll speak to them as well. It's a really nice situation where you get to dry run things in your life where it's moving quite quick and there's consequences and there's habits and patterns. We get to here, take a breath, slow it down and say, how do I actually want to be?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you want to be with her? Is it boundaried? Is it more authentic?
I want her to know that I love her, but I need to also look after myself.
Okay, so let's practice and I love you and no. Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing is actually a boundary here. If like she wants to live with you, for example, is that fair to say? But you also don't want to be nasty. You sounds like you want to be a good sister. And so try this. One hand on the heart and one hand here. Okay, say I love you and no.
I love you and no.
Is that if I push?
Yeah.
Let's make it a little bit trickier for you. So you're a little bit open there. So there we go. Look at me. Once again.
I love you and no.
Remember, you're talking to your sister, so you have to love my watch. But what's my name?
Mark.
No, what's that?
Oh, Shannon.
Okay, so I love you, Shannon, and no.
I love you, Shannon, and no.
We'll shake a little bit, so keep breathing into the belly, relaxing that contraction you came up with. I love you, and no.
I love you, and no.
Oh, this is nice. How's it feel?
Bit better, a bit stronger.
Yeah, one more time.
I love you, and
I'm
no.
actually putting quite a lot of force into this. Soft and strong?
Yeah.
It's the Andrex version, right? It's got to be soft and strong. So I love you, and no.
I love you, and no.
Great. Show me like too aggressive.
I love you, and no.
Okay, and too soft.
I love you, and no.
Yeah, I immediately start pushing. So holding your center, relaxing your belly, keeping that boundary up. And don't push away, it's just holding a boundary. There we go. Feel the difference? I feel the difference. You feel that?
Yeah.
So pushing away, again, push away, that's like fuck off.
Yeah.
Collapsing, that's not a boundary, but just holding the boundary. And what's some actual things you could say to her? Because this is the energy, right? I love you and no is the energy.
Yeah.
What's the actual thing you could say to her?
That right now I'm decorating my house. You can come up for a month, but you need to be out by this date.
Okay, very clear. This is the date. That sounds like yes, though, rather than no.
Yeah.
Do you want her there for a month?
I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, party does, party doesn't.
Like if not, then she's homeless. So it's kind of like I feel like I'm the only option.
Never going to tell you what to do as a coach, right? I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I just want you to be. Let's help you be clear. So you said part of you does, part of you doesn't. Let's just do this a minute. So part of you does. Tell me about that part.
The part to look after her, protect her.
Yeah, sounds fair. A bit of nurturance there, a bit of yeah. And the part that doesn't.
The chaos that she comes with.
Okay.
The past.
Feel your breath when you say that. There's a lot there, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how would we just take this? How would we bring those two together? Because you've basically got to take care of yourself and you want to take care of her, right?
It's feeling more of a no.
Feeling more of a no.
But it's feeling more of a like, can we meet up and build a better relationship?
Okay, so it's like you can't come stay with me, but I'd love to meet up.
Yeah.
Okay, so it isn't I love you and no. It's not an I love you and you can come to my house for a month.
Mm.
You decide. I don't know. It's your life. I'm definitely not going to pressure you either way.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try one more time. Is it and I love you and no? Or is it and womb works instead of heart if you prefer. It's you're cool. I love you and no. Or is it I love you and yes?
I love you and no.
That feels clear. How's that feel to you? Well, when I tried to move a hand, there was real resistance.
Mm.
How's that feel?
Yeah, better. More grounded.
Okay. So, it's just for now, this isn't the definitive information, but you're tuning into your body's, your deeper kind of sense of this. What are you learning here?
How much I care for other people and that I should care a little bit more for myself.
Let's do a bit of self-care pose. Come in, give you a bit of space, toes together. If you really care for her, I really got that. I really felt touched actually in the position of being her. I really let the I love you landed. If you take care of yourself, what does that look like?
Being around people who care for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people who actually give a shit about you. You treat yourself. Yeah, go on.
Letting go of the past.
It's a bit of letting go. Yeah. Back to self-care. And around this situation, what does it look like?
I think just a bit more stability. Being very clear in my yes, very clear in my no.
Okay.
Not so much a maybe.
Yeah.
A bit more decisive.
Great. Okay, so provisionally, what are you going to tell your system? You might need to center yourself before this because it might be some guilt or some weirdness or difficulty.
That I really appreciate our relationship and I want to get a better relationship with you. But right now, it's really important for me to focus on myself. And right now, it's really important for me to focus on myself.
And that means?
And that means that you will have to stay where you are or find another job or somewhere to live.
There's a clear no.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to actually, I'm going to recommend you actually take a centering breath and actually practice to no. Because otherwise, with family, you get drawn in. Family are the hardest. This is like level 9. This is not level 5 now. Family are by far the hardest ones. One, as a coach, I'm trying to be kind of not too, So how would you actually say, no, you can't live here? Take a breath. Push. Remember that energy. I love you and no.
My space is really important to me, and it's what I really need right now. I don't believe it's the best idea for you to come and live with me.
Be really clear, not just you don't believe it, but you're not letting it. You're saying no. I don't want you to live with me. I love you and I don't want you to come and live with me.
Yeah, I love you, but I don't
And I love you and I don't want you.
I don't want you to come and live with me.
How does that feel?
There's some guilt still there, because it's like,
It's natural.
because I've always been there for her, so to not do that. But then also there's like a joy, because I'm like, well, now she can be an adult and find the skills to help herself.
Doesn't actually help people keeping them dependent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not making a hard decision here, but these are all just pieces of information. So just to be transparent, the process was like helping you work it through a little bit, helping you find that I love you and no, rather, because that could, it felt like there was sort of guilt there getting in the way as well. Being really clear in that, 'cause often what you hear people saying with no is, well, I don't think you should do this. It's like you're actually saying no, I don't allow you to. And that clarity is really
I
important.
think it's more fear of her reaction, of like, because if I say just a clear no, then I know it's going to be like,
As opposed to if you don't say a clear no, that'll be better because
it's not going to be
it's
better.
not going to be better, is it? No, that's my, tell me if I'm out of here.
No.
My experience is it won't be better.
Yeah.
Because often what happens is people say a half clear no, then the other person walks over their boundaries, gets what they want, and then it all fucks up 2 weeks later, they're trying to out. Good. So final takeaway?
That is, no can be really kind. No is really kind, actually.
No as an act of love for self and other.
Yeah.
So self for you, because it's self-care. But also, I also heard you say no as an act of love for her, because she needs to grow up by the sound of things. Am I putting too much?
Yeah, no, that's right.
It's fair. Right.
Yeah.
Fucking brave work. Give this woman a round of applause. Good job. Ethically, there's an issue in not pushing someone in a particular direction. And it's very hard because we're all biased. And as a coach, I was really trying to be like, hey, this is your decision. And, I had an opinion. We always have an opinion. Anyone says that opinion is a fucking lie. Yeah. And it was like, no, it's just about you in your body finding what's true for you. Yeah. And I also didn't hesitate to bring my experience of like, will that be better? I was like, no, it won't be. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be a liar if I said I'd ever seen that work out well for someone who didn't have a clear boundary around, accommodation or whatever. So what did we do? We started off with a bit of centering, which is typical. I listened. I wasn't clear at the beginning what the coaching question was, and actually I realized it was a boundary issue. Yeah, she was like, it was clearly about a boundary, about whether to have a boundary or not. She was torn between being a caring person but needing self-care and boundaries, and then we managed to integrate those two quite nicely. And constantly I was giving her little bits of feedback, little bits of testing, helping her embody the no but with love, giving her feedback on how that felt in different ways, and helping her develop a new embodiment through words, through physical feedback, and through just inquiry. I was quite pleased with where it went in the end. I'm always quite it's very delicate when you're talking about family and where people live and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's not my place to say you should or shouldn't do anything in those situations. And you have to be very careful as a coach, I would say. Yeah. Those of you who are like Rogerian trained, you might be like, oh my God, you're still giving input. And I'm like, yeah, because you always are. Even in how you nod gives input. I don't think my mum's Rogerian counselor, I don't think you can be totally input free. It's better to be clear about it. Yeah. Any other techniques I know you noticed me doing? It was no pose, self-care pose, integrate left and right, which is just a way of going, this part of me wants this part of me wants that. How do we put them together? Very simple decision-making somatic tool. Lots of love and encouragement. That's the most important thing. Any questions from anyone at all?
I have a question in regards to when I first felt that fear. If you have the client in front of you and them saying, yeah, I feel fear, and it might be actually around that particular person, so that person for them might set their nervous system off or feel unsafe. How sort of far would you, how do you test that? How do you push that?
Yeah, so you could either go into or reduce any somatic sensation. So you could be, hey, I'm really curious why you're scared of that person. Are they violating you? Are they bad for you? So we could actually explore the fear. You could do like body listening, focusing around the fear. Or you could just say, you know what, this is conditioning, this isn't rational, let's reduce the fear and do centering. So they're both kind of valid choices. At first, I was just going to do a straightforward sort of simulator with you. And then it went in a different direction. Not sure if I answered your question.
Yeah, kind of. I was just in my head, I was thinking, do you anchor it to something else, you titrate it, or do you just kind of move on to something else, if that makes sense?
You either. What was useful, Verity, in that? What was useful in the coaching?
What was really particular wasn't really necessarily, it was more the correction of my language instead of using the bar.
Yeah,
it was when you said the and.
Right, and just for everyone's learning, so she said what was useful, because we won't hear it on the camera, what was useful was to say, she said correct the language. It wasn't so much like it's wrong to say but if you say X but B, you're removing the first bit. It's like I love you, but you've just removed the I love you, which you might want to do. But in her case, what she wanted to do is integrate the love with the boundaries. So the linguistic distinction of and was really important. That's why I was quite finicky about that. In another situation, I wouldn't have been. But in that particular situation, she had two things she wanted to bring together, the love and the boundary. And at the end, she had this big realization like, hey, no can be loving. But I was like, I was so happy when she said that. I was like, that's such a big insight. That would change your life, that insight. It's a huge insight. And that partly we were working linguistically. So I wasn't letting her do the part because her previous understanding was you're either boundaried or loving. Does that make sense? So that was her previous unconscious kind of unconscious belief. So I kept challenging that because I wanted her to see that, yes, you can be boundaried and loving. Makes sense? So I'm not always like correcting language like that, but in that case, it was essential for the job that was being done. Can we give her one more round of applause? That was fucking good work. Brave.